Hi, Andreas. Thank you very much for joining us today on the José Neves Foundation launch. It's a pleasure to have you with us to talk about education and the findings from OECD and mostly for Portugal. So as you are aware, the foundation is focusing on transforming Portugal in a knowledge society through education. What can you tell us about OECD findings and your work on education and about Portugal?
Well, first of all, congratulations to your launch. I think this is a great and very much needed initiative in Portugal. You know, at the front end, Portugal has seen a lot of progress over past decades. You can see steeply rising levels of educational attainment. I also believe that the school system has become much more skills-oriented, sort of giving much greater precedence to the capacity of students to creatively use and apply knowledge, which wasn't the case in the past in Portugal. So these are clearly important, steps of progress. PISA scores are well known. Portugal is one of the most rapidly improving countries. At the very same time, you have many young people, bright young people leaving the country because they cannot find the jobs that transform their skills into, better lives. Portugal is not often also translating, good research into innovation. I think it's the skills pipeline that really needs improvement. And more importantly, as much progress has there been for young generations, the older people are even left further behind. I think the big issues and challenges for Portugal are perhaps less so for young people than to help older people catch up and connect to this modern world.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think that can be done to improve this alignment between the school and the work or the jobs market? So how can this transition between school to work be improved in Portugal?
Yeah, high quality vocational education and training, integrating the world of work and the world of learning better is a key prerequisite for this. And again, on the surface, the statistics for Portugal look quite good. If you look at people with an upper secondary qualification, almost half of them now have a vocational degree. If you look at the young, it was only 12% among older workers. So yeah, there have been more people acquiring a kind of vocational orientation and qualification. But a lot of that is based. What we know from research is that real life skills you gain in real life by working with real people on real problems, on issues that have real consequences. So it's the work-based component that is still lacking, and therefore sort of better integrating, the economy, the labor market with not just the provision of education, but also the design. I do think is often the missing link in Portugal. And that's not just true, for apprenticeships. I would make the same argument in universities that are often too far disconnected from the real needs of real people.
And regarding the other part, which is people that are already in labor markets, and now with this fast path, this fast changing in society, and with COVID, where reskilling will be needed. So what do you think that is needed? There's a very low rate of Portuguese employed people that do lifelong learning. So what are your findings as OECD, and also what are your recommendations in that perspective as well?
Yeah, the irony is that as much progress as Portugal has seen for the very young, it has actually made the skills gap with older generations even wider. And you add to this changing demographics in Portugal, you just have fewer young people. And that means actually that much of the skills challenges now lies with older workers. There's several things that we observed that could explain the still quite low incidence and intensity of learning. First, maybe most surprisingly, many older workers in Portugal don't see a need for the development of new skills. So I think creating awareness that, being up to speed with the latest technologies, with the latest kind of workplace practices is absolutely key. Sort of helping people become aware of their skill deficits and the opportunities. The second is, of course, high quality provision, and most people don't want to go to some training center that is far away. They want to learn at their workplace in a way that is relevant to their current needs. So again, integrating training better into workplaces is very important. But then also think about more carefully about the kind of skills that will help older workers become more productive. Because what is quite interesting is that the steep rises in educational attainment in Portugal have not translated into productivity gains. In fact, Portugal has lost out compared to other countries in labor productivity. So it's not just about developing more skills of any kind. It's about developing the right skills and then finding ways to extract value from this. There's also some responsibility of workplaces to ensure that people are fit to the job that is most suitable to them, older people in particular, so that better skills translate into better jobs and better lives, and you do not lose the best talent through immigration.
Mm-hmm. And that's really one of the priorities of the foundation, is to help the upskilling and reskilling of the population through the access to quality education. And for that, we need education providers really to align with the market needs. And as you know, we are launching Brighter Future, which is a tool that will allow us to have access to a lot of data that connects the labor market with the education, and will allow us to give insights to people so that they can take decisions based on knowledge. One of the other priorities of the foundation is to promote the access to education, both for regular cycles of education, but as well for lifelong learning. So we are launching the income share agreements here in Portugal as a new model. What do you think that these kind of initiatives can provoke, and what should they be focusing on lowering the barriers to access to education for the future?
I think those initiatives are crucially important. Good education is never just, a government enterprise. It's a whole of society effort. You need everybody on board. You need people who are willing to learn. You need employers who make their workplaces not just places of work, but also places of learning. You need good, incentive structures that actually mean that, if I invest in my skills, that's going to play out in the form of better employment and better earnings. All of that needs to come together. And most importantly, matching demand and supply and skills is often a very local phenomenon. It's not about party. It could be, one set of specific regions requiring specific skills, and it could be, a specific area of university providing skills that then can translate into better opportunities for new industries. I think this is a very local phenomenon. So engaging national consultative bodies, engaging national and local public service administration staff to facilitate implementation is very important. That's where I think the work of your foundation provides such a crucial link. And most of these links between skill needs and skill supply are made at a very, very local level. They require good awareness. They require good stakeholder interaction and collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, and now we are in a completely new situation worldwide, where things are changing at a much faster pace than they were. If it was already an emergency to look at education and how education could fit or fill the gaps in the market between skills and what the market is needing, with this COVID situation, there are things that we don't know, but there are things that are certainly changing. So, what's your perspective for Europe on this perspective, and also for Portugal in particular?
Well, the first thing that you saw is during the pandemic, it was mainly vocational qualifications that became the backbone of our economies and societies. It's those kinds of professions that were suddenly at the front line. So I think investing in those, will continue to be of great relevance, and increasing the kind of work-based learning component there is important. At the very same time, I think the digital transformation has become real for most people. And again, that's no longer just about the kind of abstract professions. Every profession is being transformed through digitalization. And that is not just about technical skills. Actually, I think many people have the technical digital skills, but it's about, being able to access, manage, integrate, evaluate knowledge, information. So I think it's those kinds of knowledge and skills that are critically important for tomorrow's workers.
You are very right, and that's where the foundation also wants to try to help and play a role here in Portugal. One of our pillars is the third pillar is to prepare today the education of the future, to look at what might be the new realities in the future, not in the short term, but in the longer term. So Andreas, what would be your ideas for education if we were looking 10 years from now?
Well, I think what we are seeing is that the kind of things that are easy to teach, easy to test, are precisely the knowledge and skills that are also easy to digitize, to automate. The modern world no longer rewards you just for what you know. Now, Google knows everything. The world rewards you for what you can do with what you know. Now, can you not just reproduce what you learn in school, but can you extrapolate from what you know to apply your knowledge creatively in a novel situation? Do you have the effective social and emotional skills? This is about curiosity. It's about courage. It's about leadership. It's about your capability to solve complex problems. And those are at the helm of individual and societal success these days. So we need to be aware that this highly technological, interconnected world has made many skills redundant, but also created emerging kind of skill needs. Our education systems have been quite good in educating second-class robots, people who are good at repeating what we tell them. That's no longer needed. In the time of artificial intelligence, we need to think much harder about what makes us human, not how we substitute, but how we complement the artificial intelligence we've created in our computers. It's not something that the COVID pandemic has created, but the COVID pandemic has certainly accelerated that trend.
And just to end our conversation, which has been very interesting, what would be your final notes for us as a foundation and for Portugal? How we can really do an impact, which is our real motivation to launch the foundation, is to impact Portugal and the Portuguese people to have a better future.
Well, on the one hand, help Portugal develop the right skills. At the school system, a lot of things are on track for this. I'm very positive. But when I look at, the adult population, I think there's a lot to do to give more people better opportunities to develop the right skills. But help your economy also to extract good value from the skills of people. This is about workplace practices. This is about matching skill supply and demand. This is about bringing, local stakeholders together. Employers have a good understanding of the evolution of labor demand often. And at the same time, they may not have the facilities to provide the right training. So this is something where the foundation can play a tremendous role to make this really a whole of society effort that is very much grounded at what happens at the front line. And then last but not least, contribute to the governance of the skilled systems in Portugal. At the moment, there are actually some very important broken links at local levels often. Now, there is a strong set of national policies. There's a strong set of demands on the side of the economy, but the more you can do to actually build bridges, I think the more you will see Portuguese developing better skills and the economy being able to translate those skills into better jobs and better lives.
Thank you very much, Andreas, for your contribution. It's certainly very important for us to hear your insights and what the OECD reports are stating about Portugal and about Europe and about the world, because at the end of the day, what we are trying to do here in Portugal is to bring the best so that people are well prepared, much better prepared for the future. Hope that we can continue to discuss and partner with OECD as the foundation now starts the engines at full power. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much. And again, congratulations to the launch.